Hi everyone at Make Adventures, I'm Anna Baker and I've just got back from the Canadian Yukon Territory on my 3-week expedition paddling down the Yukon and Teslin rivers. I was part of Team Lynx, which this is a picture of us here, and this is while we were in Whitehorse shopping for before the expedition, before we'd started paddling down the Yukon. We went on a little shopping trip and this is a picture of us here. My favourite parts of the expedition were, there were so many, but I've decided to cut it down to around 6 I think. And one of my favourite parts was when we had 3 hours of reflection time, so we could take ourselves off to any part of the island that we were camping on and have 3 hours to write in our diaries, to do arty things, to sleep. It was just really nice since we've been so busy doing all camp things for the majority of the trip. It was really nice to have time to reflect. My second favourite thing that happened on the expedition was our night paddle. We'd stayed on an island all day and we'd been washing in the river, and then about 9 o'clock after tea we started paddling down the river, and we just turned the corner and there was a moose right just around the corner. It was amazing. We saw the moose and we just paddled by, and then I've never laughed so much when my friend Alex, who I was in a boat with, thought it was a horse. It was just very funny. And then gradually as we started paddling down, it started to get darker, and we got all our canoes together and ate biscuits while we drifted down the river. And then we got to our camp and there was a family on the camp that we were going to camp on, so we bivvied on the beach. It was very fun. And then one of my third favourite part was, I think I mentioned earlier, washing in the river. It was hard to get used to, but once I got used to it, it was actually quite fun since it was very cold. And then my fourth is cooking. Expedition cooking is so much fun. We cooked a curry, a sweet potato curry, which I've since cooked at home, and it is so tasty. It's so nice and so simple, so I've learnt that simple cooking is really good. And my another favourite part was when I made this bowl. I made it for my dad, and it was going to be a candlestick holder, but decided it's going to be a hole. And Ben, our team leader, showed us how to make them, and we got the embers from the fire and burnt a hole in it and sandpapered it down. It was just a lot of fun to do. Also, we gutted a fish. It was given to us by Canadian hunters, and I volunteered to gut the big one, which came a bit of a surprise when there was another fish inside the fish that I was gutting. I didn't expect that. The hardest part of the expedition probably was when the weather turned and there was a lot of storms, and keeping everything dry is so difficult when you're wild camping. It's because you just can't dry anything, you can't wash anything, you're in the same clothes for days on end. But it was hard, but it was good. I left the trip feeling fulfilled, and I had the opportunity to participate in scientific fieldwork, which was so good for me since I want to study geography at uni. So I had the opportunity to apply what I'd learned in the classroom to such an incredible landscape. And this is a picture of our canoes in the landscape that we were in, and doing fieldwork in this landscape was just amazing. I've left feeling that I can accomplish anything, especially filling in a compass along the way where we wrote numbers down about how we thought we were doing, and if we thought we were progressing or even going backwards. We just wrote everything down and it was so helpful. Since coming back from the trip, I view the world so differently now. I've had a newfound sense of how big it is, how vast it is, and I just want to explore all of it. So I've learned that if I work hard, then I'll have the opportunity to go on these expeditions and go to places like Canada, where you get to experience a new culture and explore. I view myself differently because I have realised that little things in life don't matter, and I've learned that that friends are so important, and I've made so many new friends from all over the country by going on one of these expeditions, which I'll keep in touch with for the rest of my life, and I can't wait to see them at Next Steps. So when I think about Canada, there was many pictures that pop into my head. The first picture is drifting down the river, eating snacks probably, and when we were sailing, when it was quite windy, we set up a sail, and because we had the wind carrying us, we could relax. So sometimes when you closed your eyes and you'd open your eyes and just see this amazing landscape, it was just so surreal, it was just amazing. The second picture is the Northern Lights. On our last night of the expedition, we were so lucky. We were just about to go to bed, we were bivvying, and Ben shouted us and says, "There's the Northern Lights," so we all jumped up and we just stood there, and it was so nice because it was on our last night. It was just amazing on our last night, and then we bivvied under the Northern Lights. That was definitely a highlight and the most amazing experience, knowing that we were sleeping under the Northern Lights. It was just amazing. And then my third picture is when we were paddling. We were paddling down the river, and when the Teslin River meets the Yukon River, there's a changing colour of the water. And Ben had told us about this, but when I saw it, it was just amazing. Like, the changing colour is so drastic, and it's just amazing to paddle over it and to see it for yourself. It's just amazing. So I am so grateful for you all at Vague Adventures sponsoring me. I could not be more grateful. I had the most amazing time, and I just thank you.
Hello, it's Tim again. The trip is finished. I've been back for a month now and I've had some time to reflect. I'm going to be talking you through my experiences on the trip and the effect that it has had on me so far, which have been really positive. So, onto the trip. So the best parts of my expedition had to be actually peaking a mountain. Obviously we were about 6,000 meters when we were getting to a peak, if we were lucky. Most of us did make it in the end, and most of the time we were thinking we're never going to make it up. Well, I certainly was, but as soon as we got up, first there was the sense of achievement. When you got to the top, you actually did it, couldn't quite believe it. Once we were going up a snowpack with Taff, our winter mountain leader, and he was dragging us up the whole way and said, "Taff, we need to slow down a bit." But we eventually got there, and it just felt incredible, and the view too was just amazing. So I think those were the best parts of the trip, definitely actually achieving the top. Also, of course, the food when we got back to Leh, which was the town we stayed at. It was just incredible. After a few weeks of ration packs, that was the best thing we could hope to have. Something I'll never forget. So it was the last leg of our tour, and we were pretty exhausted by this point. We were just in a snowpack, the one I just mentioned, so I was knackered myself. But we had a day to rest, and then we'd be going up the 6,101 metre peak. Now our social media was tagging along, and our medic was rejoining us, so we were all very excited. However, it was getting quite late in the afternoon. We'd been sitting around chatting for a while with the chief leader, so we thought we'd make our way up to the base of the peak. Everyone was a bit tired, but the social media especially was getting pretty exhausted, and by the time we got there she was getting really confused, started trying to eat everyone's dinner, forgetting which was hers, dropping a bottle in the river, and the docs realised she might have had acute AMS, altitude mountain sickness, so we had to try and get her back down. I say we, the adventure leaders had to get her back down. So they had to take her down. It was just getting dark, and it was all very dramatic. They had to sort of half carry her because she was really dazed, but luckily in the end she was alright. But it showed real courage by the leaders to do that in the dark, and as well we were staying up. We had a strobe light for them to come back, and they made it all back in the same night. It was a scary night, it was a fun night, but no, we really pulled together as a team, and in the end everyone was safe, so that was definitely something I'll never forget. And it was a beautiful night as well. We saw shooting stars, so something I'll never forget, definitely. The picture that comes into my head when I think of the trip is my team, my fire, the leaders who are always there for us, and the fantastic friends I made along the way, who I can't wait to see again. The hardest thing definitely had to be believing that I could actually get up the peaks in that altitude, but the person that helped me the most in doing that had to be Fireman Sam, our fire leader. He led the adventure part of the trip, and he was absolutely phenomenal for someone who hadn't done much of it before either. He had this belief in us that we could do a lot more than we thought we could, and I don't think without that we would have achieved half the stuff that we did, so I'd have to thank him very much for that. Also the team as well, all the nights playing cards, all the nights sharing stories and making each other laugh, that definitely got us through too, so thanks everyone. Now that I've talked about my experiences on the trip, I'd like to go into a bit more of how it has, the effect it's had on me since I've finished and since I've been living back at home, because I have really noticed it on myself. It's made me more motivated. I think I'm taking on more challenges. This is the time where I'm applying for jobs, and it's just been a fantastic time to do so because I have a real belief in myself as a result of overcoming challenges constantly, the way I've just described, and I feel very much accomplished. And we did have great role models while we were there. We had people that have served a lot of time in the armed forces, in various different parts of the armed forces, and they were fantastic, lovely people. We worked alongside doctors. Our adventure leader was a doctor, obviously our doctor was a doctor, and the scientists that we had along, the geologists, all of those people that had done PhDs, they gave me a real sense that I could be doing that too, and I'm going into the sort of new working world with the belief that I can do it. Ultimately, I feel differently about myself. I think a challenge is an exciting prospect now. I think failing is something to be learned from, more so than before. I think that's also quite an exciting opportunity. And as a result, I feel differently about my place in the world. I think being exposed to various types of multidisciplinary professionals on the trip, how they've changed courses and how they've accomplished different things, and how even the young explorers on the trip have done the same already in doing it. A lot of people were out their depth, but most of us got to the end. Fortunately, there were a few health risks going out there, which wasn't their fault, but I think it shows us that we can achieve what we want in different stages in our life. That can be very different things. So I think my message is I would urge people to go on something like this, because I think you can prove a lot to yourself, and it really will motivate you for the decisions we have to make in our late teens and the rest of 20s and further on. So yeah, thanks very much for British Exploring, and thanks for the opportunities you provided.